views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
Let me be your lighthouse so I can show you the way. Let me be your shining light, I'll keep you from drifting away. I'm the one that makes you try when...
Hello, this is Patty Hunter of Patty's Page TV show. Today my guest is Jor-El Godsey. Where were you born and raised?
Okay, so I was born in one place and raised in another. So I was born, my dad was in the Air Force, so I'm a military brat. So I was actually born in Las Vegas, and then I was in Okinawa for a few years because we were stationed there. And then we settled, eventually we settled in South Florida, and I was probably second or third grade. And so I grew up in the Fort Lauderdale area, was there for more than 25 years. So I wasn't born there, but I consider that my home. That's where most of my sports allegiances are and whatnot. So I'm a sad fan of the Marlins and of the Dolphins, and
A lot of fish there, you know.
that's right. Well, that's a theme. You know, works really well. Yep. So that's where I started, and that's where God got a hold of my heart. I got involved with this work, Patty, because I was had a personal experience with God and this message. I work in the pregnancy help world where we help women who are facing unplanned, unintended pregnancies. And I can say my own history involved an unplanned and unintended pregnancy with a girlfriend of mine. And it was during that experience, I actually helped her get an abortion. And I was in such a place that I didn't understand the scenario. And yet I was walking in that in something I should have done better. I should have provided and protected her, and I failed her in all of that. And it was in one of the intentions was to preserve that relationship, and unfortunately, so many of those relationships don't survive that, and ours did not either. But then I entered into a different relationship. It was one with the God of the universe. He invited, he touched my heart in a special way, and I began attending church, and it was actually it was sometime later that I was in the church, and there was a pastor that came and visited our church, and he came with the intent of really activating our small little church to get involved in the issue of abortion. And he said something from the pulpit that just changed me in an instant, I have to say. He said abortion is not a social issue. And I was young. I was listening to that, and I was thinking, like, that's odd. I pretty much know it as a social issue. And then he said, abortion is not a political issue. And then I was like, I cocked my head. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because it's in the politics. It's in the news all the time. And then he said this. He said, abortion is a gospel issue. And in that moment, Patty, I was penetrated in my heart of hearts. Like I can remember the feeling sitting in that chair, in that little, little chair, and thinking that I was the only one that was hearing this message. And I literally felt something from the top of my head to the tip of my toes. And I was changed in that instance. And I was changed on two levels. The first, I was confronted with my own culpability in the act that I had participated in. And the second, I was changed in the fact that this is something that is definitively on God's heart, and we need to do something about it.
You had the Holy Spirit go into you.
I think so. I think that was the total work of the Holy Spirit in that moment. hit me in just a powerful way. Here that moment was almost 40 years ago, and
Wow.
I can't I can't uh, even speak and even relay the story without remembering that particular moment. I don't remember what else he said. I just remember that that particular phrase really unlocked this issue for me. And our little church left that morning. We on a Sunday morning, we left that church. We went and picketed an abortion doctor. I mean, our that pastor came from another state. He came with signs. He was ready. He was looking to engage us, and we got engaged. And what was very interesting was me stepping out and doing that. It was like I walked into that church
Yeah.
pro-choice
Mm.
by action, not by default or political decision, but by action. I had participated in one and myself. I had encouraged it and I facilitated it. And
Mm.
yet God in his grace allowed me to walk out of that church with a fervor for this issue and pro-life by conviction. So I that was a transformational moment for me. I will always think fondly of Pastor Keith for coming and speaking that into my heart. And he didn't know, but he was totally redirecting my life. Because the next thing that happened for me was I heard about, hey, if you want to do more of this pro-life stuff, there's this meeting at this other church that
Mhm.
we were encouraged to go to. So we went there on a Sunday evening. And there was a big discussion about something, and I eventually about another action activity. And I eventually was trying to figure this out. And it was a planning meeting for something that was called Operation Rescue. And the next thing
I
I
knew
know,
that.
you remember that season, I was on the sidewalk in front of a an abortion clinic and had that experience. And that's where my convictions were. And we ended up getting arrested,
Wow.
going to jail just briefly. We were put into a holding pen. It was South Florida. It was not terrible. It was bright and sunny day, and we
Yeah.
were put into a holding pen outside and eventually released on our own recognizance. And then a few months later, the another opportunity came up for us to do something similar. So we went back to
Mm.
that same church that we were part of, and had organized another. They called it a national rescue, and we had several of the national leaders come into our community. And so I went to that. I was committed to this because of that conviction that God had placed in my heart. And went in front of another abortion clinic in a nearby county, was arrested. And then that particular path, this is a long story, I'm going to make relatively short. That particular path was they wanted to treat the national leaders that had come in from out of town that
Mm.
differently than the rest of us. And
Mm.
we decided that the one way to combat that, this was through the lawyers that were having these discussions outside, was
Mm.
that we would not give our names. And we went in as John Doe. And the minute we did that, they actually transferred us to a county stockade. It became a bigger event. We ended up staying overnight in jail, and we're in front of the judge the next day in the afternoon on a Sunday. And
Right.
so I was essentially spent the weekend in jail as a matter of this conviction, along with 150 others. And it was in jail. This is why I said all that to say this. It was in jail that I was standing next to my pastor who was talking to another pastor, a friend of his. And he said, hey, there's this thing called a pregnancy center opening in your area. You guys should check it out. And so my
Yes.
pastor turned to me and said, okay, make sure that happens. And I was dutiful to do that. I was able to go to that center the next in the manner of a week or two, a couple of weeks after getting all of that resolved. That's when I first heard about pregnancy centers, and that's my first visit to a pregnancy center, and it wasn't even open. It was in under construction, and it was
Mm.
800 square feet, very small.
Mm.
But the executive director met me and explained what the vision for this pregnancy center was, and I was totally captivated. I helped them connect them with some resources. They needed some electrical work. We had some electricians from our church volunteer, and in 2 weeks get them to the next stage to be able to get their permit to move forward and open their doors. And I got the next phone call, which was, "Hey, would you like to be on our board of directors?" And I had no idea what I was saying yes to, but I was so convinced and convicted of this path as just this beautiful path of not so much civil disobedience like the rescues were, but more of a compassionate outreach and how important they were. And I just totally fell in love with that as a vision for walking this out. And then for me, Patty, it changed my life in different ways. Because I was now a board member, they
That's
told
right.
me something. They said, "Okay, you're a board member now. You have 1 year to complete the training, the counselor training for that we do for all of our volunteers."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "I don't want to do that." And they said, "But you have to. You're a board member." I said, "But I'm a guy. Like, I'm not ever going to find myself counseling women because, women counsel women. It was not something that we permitted." And of course, this is my
And back in
foolishness.
those days, yes.
That's right. This is my foolishness. And so I'm like, did not have a good attitude about it at all. I dragged my feet. And on the very last chance I could do it in that year, I went to that training. It was 2 weekends. I
Mm-hmm.
sat behind a young lady. We were paired off in a communication exercise, and as the Lord would have it, a year later, that young lady and I went on our first date, and a year after that, we were married. And
What
so,
they?
and we just celebrated 31 years. So I think it's been working. This issue has been a part of who we are, of what we do. She has always been tremendously supportive of this work, and only God knew that I was going to be doing this full time, and I've now been doing this full time for nearly as long.
So you are El Presidente. I like saying that. Heartbeat International. Now, tell me all about what that is, who started it, etc., etc.
Sure. Well, Heartbeat started actually in 1971 from a
Mhm.
meeting in Chicago, actually, but the founders, two of the three founders were here in Ohio. We're located in Columbus, Ohio. It
Right.
started so it actually predates Roe versus Wade, right? Roe becomes a law in 1973, but
Yeah.
the need for pregnancy help had begun in the 60s. In the late 60s, I was very, very young at that time, but in the late 60s, there was the sexual revolution is changing our world in ways that were
Starting
unimagined prior to
being,
that.
yeah.
Much of this is about an individual's ability to do whatever they want, right? Which is actually antithetical to what Christ would call us to. He wants us to do what he would have us do, right? So
That's right.
that this is but this is our such as our culture has been through. We were changing as a culture, and of course, along with the sexual revolution comes the consequences of the sexual revolution, which then become a pathway to for the abortion-minded individuals, the abortion industry, those that wanted the license to do what they want without the consequences, begin to push for not just contraceptives. That was the first conversation, but also abortion. And then we get in the abortion industry really takes off, really begins growing into the 70s because about a dozen or more of our states were already accepting abortion. The first state was Colorado in 1967. California, North
Of course.
Carolina, Oregon were all a part of that first wave. And someone actually in Toronto, Canada, where the Canadians had a similar conversation going on, but it was actually Canada in 1968 when someone, Louis Summerhill, came up with the idea for a freestanding location that eventually we know as pregnancy centers. And so
Mhm.
she saw that the very first one we know was in Toronto, Canada, 1968. The
Right.
idea caught on in some other communities there. It quickly became something for the US to pick up on. The first ones that we started to see happening was in the late 60s, 1970, 68, 69, 70. We saw California, Hawaii, different places. Well, in 71, there was a group that came together and said the US needed something that kind of pulled this together. We had hotlines, people were answering the phones, trying to help
Mhm.
women not need it. That I'm told by those that were around at the time, they said, "Oh, this won't last very long. Our nation is just wrestling with something, and we will get this corrected in no time. Well, as you know, as we all know, that did not happen. And for 50 years, almost 50 years to the day,
Yeah.
that was undone. But then Roe comes in 73. So Heartbeat started 71 as a way to connect pregnancy help people. Pregnancy help meaning bringing life affirming intervention to those that are on a pathway for death. Like the only as I understand from my crisis counseling, that oftentimes in a crisis, our vision closes on only one path forward. And that's what was happening with people who were finding themselves and still to this day, people are finding themselves in unintended, unexpected pregnancies, thinking that there's only one option. Well, the whole point of pregnancy help was to open up their options, to help them see that there was another path and be able to support and help them choose that path. So that's the nature of pregnancy help. It's been growing now ever since those early days, and we have almost now 3,000 pregnancy centers in the United States alone.
Wow.
About more than two-thirds of those are affiliated with Heartbeat International, almost 70%.
Right.
We find ourselves serving. We're in 100 different countries. Where we have affiliated locations.
Mhm.
So those have many locations, like our friends in Italy, and other nations often only have one or two for millions of people. So we're always looking to grow, to connect more, and to grow more pregnancy help services. We work with maternity homes and adoption agencies, all in that life affirming ethic. Well, they choose to become members of us. That they're all autonomous organizations, but they choose us. I liken it to like a trade association. For those that are unfamiliar, it's we really are an assembly point for helping them. But we do have training. We
Mhm.
have training. We call it Academy, Heartbeats Academy, where
Mhm.
there are now over almost 500 different options for them to choose. Some are very simple webinars. We have some podcasts. But we also have some college level training. We have a core training of ours called the Love Approach, which is this will be familiar to what I was just talking about. Love is an acronym, LOVE. So L to us means listen and learn. We listen to who they are. We listen to where their challenges are. We learn about what their hopes and dreams are. We learn about the things that might be overcome, and then we get into where we open up the options. That comes back to that opening up the path to understand that there are different options and life affirming ones, like ones that everyone can live with, right? And then we
Right.
talk. The V is vision and values. We understand what her vision for her future is and where her values are, and we try to connect those things through the last step, which is empower and extend. We want to empower her to make a life affirming decision and extend a help to her so that she can walk that path with confidence and with boldness. And that's our love approach, and we call it the training that's been around for us since the early 90s, revised many times. So that's our kind of core training for
Right.
anyone that's able to walk in and learn how to engage a woman who's in a challenging pregnancy.
Do you know Dr. William Lyle? Or
Oh,
did
doc,
you
yes, pro-life doc. I certainly do not do
we
not. I
brought
know
him
I very
here?
much know Dr. Lyle.
We brought him here to Fort Wayne many moons ago,
Yep.
and he did seminars and that. He wants to come back here to Fort.
Nice.
I would like to see
Nice.
you come here to Fort Wayne.
Yeah, happy to. It's not that far of a drive. My daughter went to school not far from where you guys are. She went to school at Grace College, and so we're
Mercy
familiar.
heavens. When did you become president of Heartbeat?
So actually, we're talking at a very interesting time because I became president a just a month over 10 years ago.
Mm.
It was in 2016, but that was after I had been serving as vice president for 10 years under Peggy Hartshorn, who was the long time president of Heartbeat International for 24 years.
Right. Wow. So your duties are this is my co-author, Angus. He is
Uh-huh.
Abyssinian and he's a beauty. Nosy little thing, but he's a beauty.
Uh-huh.
So he'll be 7 years old. So tell me, what are your duties as El Presidente of Heartbeat?
Well, mostly I try to stay out of the way of the team that's doing such a great job. We have more than 100 folks that work with us. We operate two call centers. The first call center is Option Line, or it's easy to find through optionline.org. And if there's anything anyone takes away from this time with you, is that they would know how to find a local pregnancy help center by going to optionline.org. So we have a around the clock folks. We have a number of our team that works on optionline.org, and they're essentially able to answer, talk to women either through email, chat, by phone, text. And we also have, you can find your own path. Someone like we have a locator that helps people get there. So
That's
that's a
true.
24/7 call center for us.
What is your website? I didn't catch it.
Well, optionline.org is the one website. If anyone only remembers one thing, that they would remember that, because
Optionline.org.
that's it. They would be able to type in Fort Wayne and find a Hope Center like I did. So that can be done, and that's one of those pieces of information that walks with you wherever you go. So if you're talking to someone who's another part of the country, or even another country altogether,
Yes, sir.
optionline.org is who they can talk to. We do answer, because we do hear from about, well, let me just say, we actually directly talk to about 350,000 people every single year through Option Line. Again, most of those are phone calls, but some are chat, some are text, some are emails. And about 30,000, about 10% of those are from outside the US, from largely English speaking countries, but
Mm-mm.
we also have Spanish speakers who are available around the clock as well, because of the Spanish population here, and of course the Spanish population from nearby countries as well. So that's one team. We also have another team, Abortion Pill Rescue Network, which is another. That's what Dr. Lyle would have been talking about.
He did. I
Uh,
interviewed him last week.
yeah, he's one of he's on our advisory board. He's also one of our APR docs who talks about this. He's a wonderful evangelist
Yeah.
for this, and we are grateful for his time helping us do that. But that's a whole nother set of team members for us. That's also a 24/7. If a woman is in that situation and she's looking to change her mind about an abortion she's already started, there
Yes.
is hope, especially if she's within the 72-hour window. And then we're able to, that's a team of nurses that have a specific, they're specifically trained to work with this type of situation, to help connect her with someone like a Dr. Lyle who can prescribe her progesterone as an antidote to the abortion pill, mifepristone.
Is there a main phone number for abortion pill reversal? Do you
Yes,
have one?
and yes, and I cannot for the life of me
We
remember.
can put it up, my friend. We can put
I,
it.
I will have it momentarily. Okay, here we go. That number is 877-558-0333. And so
That's for all of
that's,
the United States.
yes, ma'am. That's for around the world, because if people reach us by phone, but also through the abortionpillreversal.com,
Mm-hmm.
they find us from all around the world. We've actually had abortion pill reversals in more than 96 countries.
Oh, no.
It's an adventure when we are doing it outside of the U.S., because the network is not nearly as strong. Fortunately, we have over 1,000 doctors and prescribers who will work with us and
Mm.
who will receive these type of patients in every single state. We're anxious to connect them with someone who can help them. About 80% of the time, we can get them connected to that person in less than an hour, because time is of the essence.
That's
That
right.
that abortion pill is working, and we're trying to get it reversed. Good news is it doesn't work as wonderfully as the designers had hoped, and it can be overcome. There is a chance it can be overcome with flooding the zone with progesterone, as we like to say.
You know, my late aunt or aunt in Toronto was an abortionist.
Is that right?
She, d-
Wow.
she, I don't know what. It took me 40 years to forgive her.
Mm,
40 years.
hmm
But I don't hate her. I don't think she's home in heaven.
Hmm.
It's up to her and God at the end. But I'm praying that she is in heaven, that she was forgiven. But
Well, God's grace is certainly big enough to overcome that, but you have to be a willing participant in seeking
yeah.
it and asking for it.
So Heartbeat International is like a networking. Is it nonprofit?
Yes, so most certainly. Have been and remain so. So we are a network. We network pregnancy help organizations all around the world and around the U.S. And we also are reaching clients and ourselves and connecting them with pregnancy help folks. Like for instance, in the example of the Fort Wayne, we hope that if someone in Fort Wayne were looking for help, and we hope that they would find a Hope Center. But if
Mhm.
for some reason they missed that marketing or kind of fell through that, then
Mhm.
maybe if they were to be caught by our marketing efforts, then
Right.
we would answer the phone, we would answer their first question, and hopefully connect them right back to a Hope Center where they can get that long-term care and long-term help.
That's fabulous. I'm glad I have you on my show, my friend.
Well, it's a pleasure meeting you, Patty.
I have been fighting it for over 50 years, abortion.
Uh, thank you for that.
Before Roe versus Wade. In Canada, they're really going at it and they're doing
Oh, they are. It's terrible. I mean, we think it's bad in the US. It's worse.
it's
Canada is
worse.
like the same as North Korea and China
Oh,
in their policies.
they don't love life. It's a death culture, and I want that change.
It's
I
very
love
sad. But by the way, we
yeah.
have we have pregnancy centers. We have a network of pregnancy centers in Canada as well.
Mhm.
Pregnancy Care Canada is a affiliate of ours. They're one of our joint networks. We work with them often. We're grateful for I think they have I think it's close to 80 pregnancy centers around Canada who are doing the work, trying to help women make sure that women have alternatives to abortion. Oftentimes we talk about techniques and tools. In the U.S. we have ultrasounds a great deal, but we have found that the very best alternative to abortion is another person. It's someone who will simply say, I
Religion.
believe in you and I
It's
believe you can do this, because our culture, the Canadian culture, the American culture is the same. We are giving them messages that you can't do you can't do all you can do without abortion, and we reject that. We know that the God of the universe is involved in the creation of every single human life, and we know that God is able to help them walk through that season. And maybe it's towards something like it's instead of being a parent, they may get to choose the parents, like as through adoption.
mhm.
Either way, God is at work and God is involved, and I'd much rather be on the side of the God of the universe
That's right.
than not.
So we're at the end of our show, my friend. I like to speak with you via phone or whatever, another Zoom, something, because
Sure.
there's so much to talk about. And this is Patty Hunter of Patty's Page speaking to Jor-El Godsey of Heartbeat International. We'll see you next time, next week, and I hope to see you, sir, again,
Thank you, Patty.
live.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed, my love. God is with us always, and for the rest of our lives.